Good afternoon to you, wherever you are listening to us on Honor 103.5 FM. We say happy Eid al-Kabir to all our Muslim brothers in business and everyone out there. We're blasting from the city of Ibadan to the entire world. Good afternoon once again, and the show is Leadership and Entrepreneurship. Leadership and Entrepreneurship with David O. David, your business coach on the radio behind the MIC. This afternoon I'm so relaxed because I'll be concluding the series of the growing up and not going up as young entrepreneurs and startups. And today I want you to know that we are going to be just doing the summary of the growth process that we have started for over 3 weeks now. And we're going to be concluding today, so you can share with your friends. You can connect with us on Honor FM 103.5 on our Facebook handle. And you can download our app from the Google Play Store. And you can connect with us online with those channels. You can get us on Instagram, on FM 103.5, Twitter, and you can bring in your contributions. And at the same time, you can join us right away on as everyone is on holiday on our lines 091 51035 555 091 01950 excuse me, 091 51035 555, and the other one 070 4800 1035. We move to the conclusion today. Thank you, my DJ. I started these that your growth process is sacrosanct as a startup, as a startup entrepreneur. You must understand that it is not the day you start that you start breaking even. The Yoruba people will say that you have to understand that the fact that some people have done what you are trying to do now, and they broke even, and they are now a household name in that business, does not mean that they started overnight. They went through their own process too. That was why I read in one of my quotations in the book, consistent process, or that people might just identify me. No, I will grow up into it so that I will have a lasting legacy. Are you getting my point? That lasting legacy is what gives your business going concern. When you give birth to a child today, that child will not grow overnight, isn't it? That child cannot grow overnight. That same child will have to go through the growth process. Go through the nursery. The baby will start to crawl, from crawling, trying to stand. Sometimes it's going to fall. Sometimes the baby is going to stand before taking those first two wonderful steps. That is what is peculiar rather to businesses too. So we started with the growing deep process. And I said that every step you take as an entrepreneur must be appreciated. Let me tell you, the fact that you try and failed, you are far, far better than the people that have it in their thought page or thought phase. Because once you are able to start, friends, what you look at, you are learning in the journey of your entrepreneurial endeavor. So you don't see yourself as a failure at all. All you need to do, especially if you are a man, if you are a business person on a vision, the clarity is there. You know what you want to do. You know what your vision is. You know what your mission is. You know what your culture is. You know what you need to be, to do to get into the business, and who are the people. You have them readily settled in your mind, and you have put them in the right perspective at the initial. At the initial starting point. I have an issue when you were planning it. You have all this into place. You have done your feasibility studies. You have done all your research as regards this business, and you understand the business. Now, if you start a business, that is your growing deep season. Your starting point is you growing deep. How many of us have been to the farm? When the farmers plant the seed of corn, Nobody sees the seed of corn until it offshoots after the third day or so, or the fourth day. There is a process that was happening in the sand, in the ground rather, with the maize there. The maize is trying to understand the new terrain. The new terrain is trying to accept the maize. That is what happens in the business. Yes, startups, you don't have to be discouraged. The Yoruba people will say that, sorry if I'm using Yoruba. Yeah, the Yoruba people will say that, Beniba Beshimba Dani Amantuguni. Yeah, you keep on, you see the maize there is familiarizing with the ground. The sand is familiarizing with the maize, and the maize is trying to get himself exposed to the nutrients, to the opportunities that is there. The moment they all synergize, you see the offshoot, and the farmer starts laughing and rejoicing. Why? Because that seed has brought out an offshoot. So that's why I said you have to go through your growing deep process. And that process is very, very important. That is where you redefine your vision, your mission, your culture. Are you with me? Your human capital. You look at them critically, because this is not a one-off thing. It's what your life is hinged on. If you are looking at it as a side hustle, please, you don't even need to listen to me. But if you are into business, that this is what I'm going to use the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life, now you've got to understand that you have to be, there has to be clarity as to the vision, clarity as to the mission, clarity as to your objective, clarity as to who will I work with. Are you with me? Clarity as to each phase, the short term, the medium term, and the long term projection. You've got to know all this. So in this growing deep period, this is where you cross your T's and dot your I's. This is where you make up your mind. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing. This is where we're going to be staying. This is how we're going to be doing things. Not saying that you will not be flexible, but the reality is that no matter how flexible you are, growing deep season. That is what happens there. You continue to understand and reshaping, readjusting, redoing things, and that is how you're going to go. Then we move on to the growing up process. Like the example that I cited with us in the offshoot of the corn. You see that once the offshoot comes up, it begins to grow up. Then it begins to develop stronger stems. Now, in business, as a startup, when you begin to grow up, that is when you begin to get to implant your footings in business. You begin to implant your footings in business. You begin to you begin to understand the ecosystem of your entrepreneurial atmosphere. How do I put it now? Demography. So much so that when you begin to establish yourself, people begin to make reference to you, that we know you. We've been hearing about you. We've seen your signatures everywhere. When you begin to get that feelers, genuine, authentic, objective feelers. Some will criticize you constructively. Some will criticize you destructively. You must be able to draw the line between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. That is very, very sacrosanct, because you're trying to do something. You are trying to enter into a market that is saturated already. Even if it is an unsaturated market, the few people that are in that market, they will fight you to a fault, because they would not want you to take their market share, and you have come to take a market share. So you have to understand that. So you grow your stem. You do one thing. One thing you do is that you have to have a USP. You need to have a USP, unique selling proposition. Why will people not buy from me? Because you would have done your research, understanding what we call the SWOT analysis, the strength of your competitors, their weaknesses, the opportunities they are enjoying, what poses threat to them, and at the same time to you. You do the SWOT analysis for yourself too, as an entrepreneur. So when you now understand all these things, you realize that they will now begin to see you as a member or a player in that ecosystem. I hope somebody is getting something now, because as we are celebrating now, some people season, second half of the year, and you know this is the period where market begin to appreciate, as in festive seasons are beginning to come, and you know that market indices will begin to, some will jump up, some will come down. So people are in strategic meetings now as we speak. Yes, strategic meetings. They are thinking, they are strategizing, removing, adding for the second half of the year. That is what you can join us on our Facebook and Honor 103.5 share with your friends, there's love in sharing. Share with your friends. Honor 103.5 FM in the city of Ibadan. We are number 39 Adebayo Street, Kongi, Bodija. So share with your friends. Let's share. If we have been a blessing to you, please share, and it's gonna be okay by doing that. Now, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to do now? Now, what I'm trying to say is that you need to understand that after your growing up season, you have your growing wide season. You have your growing wide season. I will set an example of this FCMG. I often use FCMG, and maybe I should look for another one. Okay, he's a popular person, and I think I can mention that on air. It's a regular name. It's a popular name. Yeah, his name is Dangote. You look at Dangote when he started his business. It's a case study. You can study him. Initially I used to look at Dangote as one Hausa from the north that is just opportune. But one of his meetings at next Zim conference, and he began to speak. I discovered he went through the process of growing deep. That will tell you in the areas he never had headway. He laid his hand on several things. He went into agriculture. It did not work. We were first selling grains, doing all sorts. Those were the days of his growing deep. When he began to have an season. But when he entered into his growing wide season, he moved. Somebody type move. He moved into the growing wide season. In the growing wide season, he divested. How did he divest? Number one, 15 years, sometimes 20 years. He divested into petroleum. He divested. Everybody knows that he's the richest man, black African man, through the process. He went through each stage of this process. Is Alhaji Aliko Dangote's business went through it. So I don't speak into a particular individual in business, and I was telling them that, you see, whatever, no matter how beautiful your idea is, no matter how eloquent your visions are, you need to understand that there is what we call the gestation period. Gestation. Nobody will do business with you until they are so come to realize that you don't have a going concern concept. You are there to just do a one-off thing, or you are just there to just make money and move on. No, nobody will do business with you that way. No. You see, people now, Aliko Dangote had to divest. Then he enlisted that company. Now, this is what has been killing entrepreneurs on this side of the continent. They don't want to give out the shares of their companies to the public. And so whenever the vision Dangote did was that he knew he cannot make it a family business. So he enlisted in the stock exchange floor. Public funds came in. The board of directors came in. That don't even know. There was a day he gave an interview, said that his manager or his banker said he has several millions of dollars. He said, me? He said, I'm just seeing figures. He said, okay. He needed to confirm as a chairman. You see, go to Dangote refinery. There is a CEO there. Not Dangote is not the CEO there, but he's the chairman of the company. You need to understand these things. This is what makes businesses to thrive. Even long when you might have gone, your children's children will still have stakes in business. And as long as the business becomes bigger and becomes blue chips, you see your children, your great-grandchildren, what about Coca-Cola? Sorry, I mentioned, I'm sorry, that's the beverage drink that started several years ago. It's all over Nigeria and it can never die. Let me tell you, this growing white season is when you begin to leverage, you begin to network, you begin to do things. Let me read from the book. Now that you have grown deep and you are now growing up in your entrepreneurial endeavor or in purpose, the next phase is growing wide. As it is known that a tree does not make a forest, so there is need to expand your network of influence. Yes, you need to expand your network of influence. You have to leverage on the ecosystem of the economy. You have to leverage on it. You are into XYZ business. Who are the people? Look at let me give you one insight. We all know that the telecommunication companies, they are here in Nigeria, but there are areas they have leveraged. How? They use diesel to run their engine. So they need to leverage with other companies. How? So that they will not be paying unnecessary bills that is not right. They will be able to manage their cost. I hope you are getting something. They are able to leverage all around. That's why they can still pay their staffs well. That's why they can still declare dividends for their investors. So you have to understand that. How many of us have heard about this young man in the US called Elon Musk? Elon Musk too, he went through his growing process. He went growing deep, and at the same time, he went growing up. Then he went growing wide. He too was enlisted in the stock exchange floor in the Americas, in the United States of America. So friends, growing wide season could take long, but I tell you, it's the best decision so that your businesses can be transgenerational. There are major businesses on this side of the planet in Africa, precisely in Nigeria and in the Southwest. Major companies that we have had, they've done well when they started, but when the owner dies, the business dies. Why? Because they never thought of growing wide. They kept it as a nucleus, just something they can just manage because they have little change, but they don't know that they can get it bigger when you have more investors. I hope I've been able to give you something to discuss when I'm off air, something to ruminate over. If you're an entrepreneur and you are good at what you're doing, I hope I've been able to ginger your swagger, as the Gen Z will say, so that you can move on into the second half of the year. I said, here I'm ready to run, and I'm ready to establish my footings in my ecosystem of business. Thank you very much. Once again, happy Idel what? Idel Fitr, happy Salah. Happy Salah holiday and happy celebration to all our Muslim friends and to everyone that has worked with us today. DJ, my DJ IBK and my social media handler Gift. Thank you so very much. And on behalf of the management of Honor 103.5 FM, I want to say happy holidays, happy Salah, and happy